history of the tango in Buenos Aires is best chronicled by the Broadway musical, Tango Argentino. On a New York stage, Buenos Aires' best tango dancers have mustered all their tuxedo bravado and drop-dead glamour to tell the classic story of Argentina. Couples like Juan Carlos Copes and Maria Neves, an electrician and a maid, whose lifelong love of the tango is so intense, they divorced each other rather than allow their marriage to cool the passion of their 30-year dancing partnership.
We are writing a history, a page of history around the tango in Broadway.
The tango's history began with the flood of European immigrants to South America at the turn of the century. Mostly Italians and Spanish, they were drawn to Argentina by the Pampas, the fertile and endless plains ideal for farming and ranching. Later, they discovered most of the land under the control of large Argentinian landowners. Faced by the disappointment of working land they could probably never own, many headed back to the port city of Buenos Aires. The immigrants' despair and alienation in a city far from home became the melancholy soul of the tango. Born in the barrios of Buenos Aires, tango music became a litany of life's injustices. The tango dance, a means of coping with dashed hopes. It takes two to tango, but not always a man and a woman. When women were in short supply in the immigrant barrios, the first tango partners were usually the pimps and waiting patrons in the brothels, where the tango was first danced and confined. For the men, it was more of a street fight than a dance. When the women joined in, the macho aggression was replaced by sexual seduction. The body language became so explicit, a pope was forced to issue a decree on the tango's morality.
You see this? She is like an instrument, an Stradivarius. I do it with my finger. She knows what I do, what I will do. It's like a piano, and this too. It's like an instrument.
Juan Carlos leads, Maria follows. The man always leads in the tango. But they dance to the lyrics of tango music, where the woman has the lead, and more often than not, leaves her partner for another man. Juan Carlos and Maria have been living this mating dance since she was 15. Juan Carlos had to lie about Maria's age to sneak her into the tango clubs of La Boca, where the decadent tango first rooted itself on the Buenos Aires waterfront. Today, it is a colorful artist colony, but in the early 1900s, it was a rough and ready red light district run by its own hierarchy of hoods called compadritos. Their erotic dancing and flashy style was their way of showing contempt for the established Argentine society, which would have nothing to do with them and other lowlifes from the barrios and their vulgar tango. It was the French, of course, who ultimately made the tango chic. They legitimized it for the rest of the world, including the upper classes of Buenos Aires. La Tango, as they called it, became the first dance craze of the Roaring '20s in France. Throughout Paris, you can still find the tango celebrated at Tuesday afternoon tea dances, at old tango clubs where elderly patrons arrive alone and leave as couples. In Paris, it is still trendy for young professionals to take tango lessons on their way home from work. These are the first awkward steps to the sophisticated and tawdry routines their grandparents probably used to court each other. Without the Knights of Buenos Aires, a tango can't be made, writes Jorge Luis Borges, the great Argentine philosopher and writer. He also speaks of the Argentine notion of heaven as a place where the Platonic ideal of the tango will finally be realized. Juan Carlos and Maria, the perfect dance partners, but admittedly the worst married couple, have been living out this platonic ideal.
La bronca, la amargura, la tristeza y la bronca en el escenario.
She think she was better after divorce because she was angry and about that. Then she put everything of her on tango dance.
Carlos Gardel, the French-born singer who adopted Argentina and personally made the tango a part of its national identity. With a tear in his heart, his music best articulated the sorrow and joy of the tango. As a movie star, his jaunty elegance became a symbol of what every Argentine immigrant dreamed of becoming: accepted, rich, and happy. On his return from his successful European tour in 1935, his plane mysteriously crashed into another on takeoff in Colombia. Argentina's most popular figure and a heartthrob on 3 continents was dead at 44. His state funeral was 70 blocks long. It stretched from the Abasto produce market where he was raised to the posh cafes of Palermo, where he was the first to dress up the tango and introduce it to high society. The Argentine dictator, Juan Perón, was accused of cultivating a strong physical resemblance to Gardel, while his wife, Evita, championed the tango as the dance of the people at the height of the tango's and Perón's popularity in the 40s and 50s. Gardel's face, name, and image are everywhere in Buenos Aires today. He remains as the dashing and debonair symbol of hope for the hundreds who visit his grave daily and keep him in his favorite cigarettes. Today's second-generation Argentinians are more attuned to the African and South American roots of their music. They find the classic tangos too difficult to dance, the melancholy music too distant to their lives of relative prosperity. Disco has long since replaced the tango in Buenos Aires nightlife, and the club where Juan Carlos and Maria used to dance has given way to striptease and magic acts. The few tango clubs that remain are more for tourists and nostalgia buffs. Many of the best tango dancers have joined Juan Carlos and Maria in Broadway's Tango Argentino, rather than see their art reduced to an act or campy sideshow in Buenos Aires. Only in the neighborhood social clubs does the tango still flourish and revert to being a folk dance embracing all the bittersweet emotions of immigrant life in Argentina. Now that another tango craze has been launched abroad, the tango has escaped extinction. Juan Carlos and Maria have danced their way out of the social shadows of Buenos Aires and into the bright lights of Broadway.
Fred Astaire, if you can hear me, or Gene Kelly, I am here. We are like children. We don't believe what happened here. I thanks, oh God, thanks, because I can live this moment.